don't tell anyone. We've taken CRTV over.
The airwaves.
We've taken over the airwaves of a podcast. Shh, oh my God, you guys are there. Shh. Okay. Listen, Liz Miller, VP Principal Analyst with Constellation Research. We are coming to you live from PegaWorld in a city I never get to come to. It's so exotic, so new. I believe it's pronounced Las Vegas.
La Vega.
La Vega?
Yeah.
Las Vegas. We're here. I'm here with Matt Healy. We're having so much fun, and we decided to just kind of impromptu go live and just give you guys the scoop. So hopefully y'all are watching, but you'll be able to see this as a replay as well in our CX Convos. You know, we always like to come out with those. But Matt, let's talk. First, oh my gosh, what do you do here at Pega? Like, should we go into that first? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's do it. So super excited to be in Las Vegas, La Vega.
La Vega.
PegaWorld. So I'm the Director of Product Strategy and Marketing for Pega's platform.
Nice.
So it's sort of like the underlying layer of technology.
Yeah.
So I get to think about, how do you build applications in Pega? So developing,
huge.
How we're helping enable developers to get to market faster. And then what capabilities we have in that platform layer to automate and really improve business functions across the board.
Perfect. Now, you guys think a little bit differently about where not only the platform, but the applications and the AI and the data, where that should sit. Before we jump into kind of what I got to hear today in the keynote, and then I got to see the layer cake, like I think it's confetti cake that you guys used at the bottom of it, like because it was a literal picture of cake, y'all. I need y'all to know that. Okay, so you guys have a very different idea, and I think it's super interesting. So I kind of want to dive into it of where all of this should sit, very specifically where your applications, where your systems, and your AI and your workflows and your automation should sit. Maybe you can go into a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. So, we do have sort of a unique perspective, I guess, and we call that the center out business architecture. And you're like, what does that mean?
What is that? Wait,
whoa, mind blown.
What? It's usually a donut and we fall through the middle, but it's fine. It's fine.
But really, that sort of just takes the concept that for these really large enterprises with, tons of different teams, tons of different functions, if you kind of, approach an automation or a decisioning problem, you might think about it in terms of, we need to deliver this decision or this workflow in this channel, right?
Right.
And
or even worse, you think about only the channel.
Yeah.
You don't even think about the decision. You don't even think of the workflow, and then you try to shove the decision into the channel.
Yeah. Like, we need to make a really sick mobile app for this use case.
Right.
And then before you know it,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And then before you know it, you've done that 1,000 times.
Right. Yeah.
And they're all disconnected.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a marketer. Did I admit that earlier? So we've done that.
Yeah, we've all done it. And we've all also been on the other side of it.
Totally.
You're trying to get something done with an organization, and you probably start on the website, then you call into the contact center. They have no idea what you did on the website. No. You have to explain what you're trying to do. They transfer you. This person has no concept of who you are. You have to explain yourself again. So it just creates friction points because the systems are all siloed.
Right.
So Pega's approach is to really think about the decisions and the customer journeys at the center. Define those in one place, and define it in a way that you're sort of saying like, all right, who are all the people who are going to need to engage with this customer journey from beginning to end? But
also on both sides of the equation, which I think is so really interesting, because what you've thought through is it's not just about the customer of where the customer is going to engage, but when does the customer intersect with the employee, and what systems do they need to then bring into that party as well. But the thing that struck me when I kind of saw the graphic earlier today on stage was it also doesn't put buyers, and it doesn't put an organization, especially a small, scrappy organization like the VA, it doesn't put them in that position of, I can't do any of this until I rip and replace the entire world.
Yeah, they mentioned, so the whole idea there is you have this customer journey in one place, and then you're able to plug it in and really use it across all of your different channels for all of the different users. So the employees, the agents, and the customers themselves. And the VA mentioned how they have all these fax-based processes.
Oh my God. It wasn't just that they mentioned that they had fax-based processes. It's that the fax, okay, I'm just going to say this right to you guys. The first step in the process of a fax-based process, and that's fax with an X, is print out the fax. That was process number one. Like, I was like, oh, I know that feeling. Yeah. Like, I know that feeling of and then I'll scan it. Like you didn't even get the dual scanner.
I was almost expecting her next sentence to be like, and then we have to, handle the carrier pigeon in.
Right, and then we get the smoke screen. Yeah, like something was going to happen. Something like we put it in the tube and something.
No, but she did mention how some people still prefer the fax channel.
Yes, and I think that was wildly important. But I think that at the end of the day, she kept coming back to this idea of we can't give care unless we get people in the door.
Yeah.
And so digital really digital is that pathway to get people into the door, which I think is so important. But I love that it didn't require, and her work with Pega, it didn't sound like it didn't sound like you guys sat her down and was like, okay, you need these 19 boat flotilla of all of this stuff that you need to have. It was more like, where can you make the change, and where can our platform and where can this tool sit to connect your other tools and systems? How important is that for not only your existing customer base right now, but as you look forward and as you look at all of these other innovations you're bringing out, like something like Blueprint? How important is that at the core of Pega, you aren't asking people to get rid of your ERP, your CRM, all of those systems? Does that really, like that, I know that resonates with the buyers that I talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we work traditionally with Fortune 500, the world's largest organizations, the world's largest, government agencies. They have systems which probably outdate my parents.
I'm sure I was probably like installing one of them or something really embarrassing like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually with a government agency 2 weeks ago, and they were telling me how they had a system which was built prior to the Kennedy assassination.
Yes.
Which is crazy, right?
That's how you do it, people. Longevity. No, totally kidding. Totally kidding. Yeah, it's hard. Exactly. It's been tested with customization. Is how we just are going to keep relying on it being there.
Yeah, but like us as consumers, as citizens, we have come to expect this digital first way of interacting with these enterprises.
Yes.
So for them to sort of like cross that chasm between their legacy IT estate and what customers expect is extremely difficult. And it's really where Pega provides a ton of value. Being able to define these customer journeys, deliver the experience that customers are expecting, and then allow you to abstract away the complexity on the back end and slowly modernize it, all in one go.
Love that. Okay, now we're going to jump into the keynotes, because since we are here live at PegaWorld, I do want to bring up 2 pieces of your CEO's keynote.
Oh boy.
Let's get ourselves into trouble. Hey, Alan, don't watch this. Just turn off from here on. Don't pretend that this is all secret. And I'm not getting Matt in trouble. Don't take this out on Matt.
Alan, I give it 2 thumbs up.
Let's do this. So we're not saying that. I thought it was great. I always enjoy hearing Alan speak, and I always think his keynotes are really refreshing. 2 things came up, and I want to bring them up. He launched right in. It was almost like the first minute. He just got right to the meat of it. He said the thing a lot of people out there don't want to say on stage, which is that a lot of the stuff in this big AI bubble, especially around generative AI, is all bullshit. He did say BS. I expanded it out, but he did say it. He did say that so much of what we're hearing out there in the market is BS. And so I would imagine that part of this year for Pega, and part of your job probably for Pega, has been to make sure that you stay on track away from the BS. Am I just assuming that? Like, let's dive a little into, if there is a bubble of BS out there, how is Pega staying out of that bubble? And how are you then innovating so that the AI that you are infusing across the platform, that's in the layer cake, that is across all these, not just decisions, but also helping people in that moment they need the help? How do you make sure that that's not the BS?
Yeah, absolutely. We are BS free over here, so
I like it. Yeah, I like it. We need some kind of like thingy for that, but yeah,
it definitely did feel for a while there, and probably still, that every press release slaps some AI on it. Every web page,
we're going to save all the processes.
I feel like I went to an ice cream shop and told me they were powered by generative AI.
It was like Oprah ran in with some generative AI, and she's like, "You get it, Gen AI. You get it, Gen AI." She was just tossing it around everywhere.
Yeah, but I did love, Alan's kind of message that it's important to think sort of holistically. That was one thing he said. So, while generative AI is this hot new capability that does have value, there's still a ton of value to be had in statistical machine learning based algorithms.
Absolutely.
You know, to drive, you know, those things like next best actions across all of your channels, to deliver your offers to your customers, and to also identify issues that are happening in your back office, proactively escalate, you know, if you're going to miss an SLA, stuff like that. So that's one. And then, you know, there is that potential for generative AI, and there's some great research that's been put out by the National Economic Bureau of Research. They do good things.
They do good stuff. I've read it. Yeah, I really.
We comb through it. So
we're those nerds.
Yeah.
If people haven't figured that out, right?
But I thought it was great because they did a study of generative AI impact to thousands of customer service agents.
Yes.
And what they found is, you know, for people who have been working in that contact center for decades,
right, or even moments. I mean, you get one or the other, right? In the contact center, let's be very honest, you're getting someone who has just churned, or that role has just churned, or you've got someone who has been in there from like the time they took out the PBX, right?
Yeah. And what they found is those people, the latter, the people who have been there for a while, the generative AI really didn't have a ton of impact.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Productivity, right?
Legacy muscle memory.
They could do it blindfolded.
Totally.
But for new people,
you
know, coming into a contact center or an operations center at the world's largest organization, I always think about it. If I was dropped in, I'd be like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then I'd also be like, okay, I'm quitting because this is way too complex.
Oh, yeah.
But what they found is generative AI brought those people's productivity levels up to the productivity level of their most skilled employees. So really is all about
so it's not leveling up.
Yeah, making every employee their best employee.
Yeah, terrific. I will say, okay, before I get to the second thing Alan said, I've got to tell you, I took that moment back where so contact center is in my coverage area, and I see a lot of AI tools that are like, we're training, we're upskilling, and it's a lot of pulling from knowledge. Like it's like they've repurposed a knowledge center and turned it into an employee training module. But that virtual training assistant, where it is generative AI creates phone calls, live calls from 4 different personas with 4 different problems. And a live agent is actually taking those calls and experiencing a call that you would have actually had with a customer, complete with I've changed my mind, I might go this way, I might go that way. And this can be an iterative and increasingly more difficult or increasingly advanced training module. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. It both teaches, you know, an agent, or gets them up to speed with sort of how the contact center wants them to be engaging with customers. Like, all right, are you following our scripts? Are you handling these in the right way? All of those sorts of things. But it also is invaluable in teaching the agent, or letting them get up to speed with how to use the desktop. Yeah. Where are the buttons?
Yeah. You know? Where do I get that information? Where do I see that recommendation? I thought that was really cool. Okay, let's talk about the second thing that Alan was certainly talking about. I think it was really interesting to hear the conversation that, listen, yes, the AI is a little bit of bullshit, but in order to push forward, we really need to have this attitude that we're switching away from just looking at things like information. Right? We can't be just thinking like AI is going to get us to information, and isn't that going to be awesome? It's really that information has to lead to transformation. When you start to think about the next couple of things, like look down that market strategy, like the crystal ball, like we're gonna look down that pathway just for a second. What are you most excited about? Like Alan was getting excited about like Blueprints is coming out. Blueprints gives this, well, it's been out since April, so don't get mad at me, anyone.
On right now.
Yeah, no, it's been out. But you know, you're making those UI tweaks, everyone's kind of tweaking that and moving forward. There's new data modeling, all of these new things are happening with Blueprints, which is awesome, keeps moving forward. But as people really start to have an idea, put that into Blueprints, forwards that out, AI comes in, app builder, there's a lot happening here. There's a lot happening here at Pega, okay? So what are you most excited about when you start to look down that strategy runway?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, just to expand on some of the stuff that is new right now in Blueprint, and you can go pega.com/blueprint if you want to try it out.
He knows it.
Sales guy right here. So, you know, we announced a live preview for your application. So this center out idea that we talked about at the beginning, the ability to deploy your workflows into the different personas who need to engage with them. You can now see that directly in Blueprint. So experience your workflow in customer service in the desktop, in the customer service, like a website where you're delivering self-service, and then in the back office, which is awesome. So that's really cool. And then the thing that I'm most excited about for the future safe harbor. Shoot.
Forward-looking statements. Okay, there we go.
So Blueprint is great in terms of accelerating application design, letting people collaborate, building on best practices, getting them to live faster. That's awesome. But we talked about, they have a ton of legacy assets.
Ton.
Right? And right now, Blueprint has no information about all of that.
Yeah.
So you saw Alan and Karim talk about the idea or the new capability we've introduced around BPMN import.
Oh, yeah.
Which is allowing you to start to take some legacy assets like your process diagrams and reimagine your workflows informed by that. Nice. And quickly take something that's old and clunky and on-prem and deploy it as a new cloud-based application. And as I think about the future, maybe that's where that starts going. We start to expand the types of information that Blueprint can be informed of and really focus on bringing these enterprises into 2024 and sort of unlocking their ability to change. Yeah,
I think what was so interesting too was that I think Pega's heritage in the contact center, in service, in really understanding how you bring that experience directly to that person who's in that moment of need, the moment, like that being so foundational to who the organization is. You're still seeing that. At least I'm still seeing that as all of this is rolling forward, because I think it was really important to note that even though you guys are talking about putting automation in the center, putting systems, put these data in the center. Katrina from the VA, I think, said it so well, was that it's not that we have always tried to put our IT at the center or our tools and our systems in the center. We have to put our people in the center.
Yeah.
And to then kind of think back to Alan's conversation of really, in order to get people anywhere in an experience, in a channel, onto systems, into tools they're using, you have to put those automations in the center. Yep. I think that's a really interesting flow through that you guys are really carrying through a lot of that strategies, making sure that in order for all of us to put our people in the center, all of that automation, all of that data, all of those workflows, not only do they have to be at the center, they have to be usable, accessible, understandable. They can't be complex. I mean, Alan said it. He came out and said it. He said that Pega has sometimes been known for being a little expensive, maybe a little hard to use, right? Maybe he said it. He said it in the very beginning of his keynote. He said it, but I think that his statement was also that AI is piercing through that. Yeah. You guys have actually seen your customers reach double-digit efficiencies in being able to kind of amplify those tools and that. So, is that what's moving you guys forward? Are we going to see more of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to hear I'm going to hear less of the, it's really hard to get the resources that know Pega. And then we're going to be like, hey, there's actually an AI that knows Pega, and now you know Pega.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about, getting new in the same way we want to get new contact center agents, new employees, and get them up to productivity quickly and allow them to do their job. Because what I loved about the VA is they said, these people care a lot about their constituents.
Like they care intensely. And as so should they. Like in order to serve, she said in order to serve the people who served. And I was like, that was such a good line. That was such a good line.
Yeah, really good. But in order to allow them to serve more and do more of what they care about, it's about simplifying and guiding and unifying their experience. So that's the whole center out idea. We're taking the same approach for developers.
Yeah.
So, all right, coming into Pega, maybe you know some Java, maybe you are a business person, you're coming from all different backgrounds. We want to make it so it's not intimidating. You have the knowledge, you have the expertise that you need at your fingertips, and you have a sort of a continual guide and coach as you're walking through and building your first or second or 100th application.
Yeah.
And we're doing a ton with generative AI in terms of, bringing that knowledge into the development environment. And then we also announced today Pega Gen AI Socrates.
Yeah.
Which is available right now on Pega Community.
Okay.
And it's sort of a generative AI powered, tailored way to get enabled on Pega. So rather than walking through these checkboxes, all these different tests and stuff like that, reading all these documents, you get to have a conversation with generative AI
Yeah,
bot. And
with
get
all
to
the
know you.
knowledge of all the folks who have come before you as well. I think that's awesome. Hey, Matt, I know we got to send you back out onto the floor. You got more important things to go do than sit here and talk with me. And oh my God. Hey, thanks for everyone for tuning in and watching. We're going to have this up later, so you guys are going to be able to enjoy it, but we're going to come back with more things live from PegaWorld. Have a great show, man.
You as well.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Bye, TV.